Alrighty, thank you for your patience while I was getting some things set up here. Oh, 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 don't want that there. It's all test data, so it's not really that big of a deal if some of those API keys are on the screen. But anyway, welcome. Thanks for joining me today. My name is Brian Morrison, developer at a logistics company out of Chicago, Illinois. Over the last couple of weeks, actually for the last, like 2 months now, I've been coming every Wednesday doing these live streams. We started off building out of UCRM. I migrated over to doing the application that I'm kind of working on for production. Now I realize I got to recycle some of my keys here, which is going to be great, but you know, it's all test data. I've got nothing production going on, but yeah, what we're going to work on today is actually going to be pretty exciting. This is what I've been looking forward to working on for a while. Part of the initial features that I want from applications. So the application is named Enviari. It's going to be built so people can basically send anything anywhere package-wise. That's very simple. I know that sounds like a very straightforward application, something that should exist, and some do. I mean, it's not exactly the most unique of ideas, but it's an idea that came to me when my wife was having trouble with one of her businesses just shipping products. So I built something that does a lot of this functionality, but it was a Windows app. I used WPF, and basically it was all client side and interacted with the APIs directly. So I'm rebuilding it to be a web application, and I'm gonna try and launch it, and we're gonna see where it goes. So today I'm gonna integrate with Square, which is a service used for transactions, and a lot of stores use, a lot of small businesses use Square to transact with their customers. It's gonna be able to pull in the customer data and synchronize that up. I was looking at some of their API documentation. I don't see anything as far as importing orders, but we'll see where this thing goes. So as I've explained in my last video, one of the first things that I always do whenever I'm starting to work on something is come into this guy. This is Azure Devops, and these are all my work items. This is my sprint that I'm working on. So as you can see, work item number 31 is what we're going to be working on today. So I've done everything for the most part in the dev branch, so we're just going to keep on with that. We're going to keep on with that same flow. So, come on, scroll to the top of this guy. I want to minimize my node modules. So I know Square has, the backend API is going to be built in Node. So I know Square has some documentation on Node, so we're going to bring that up now. I'm getting this kind of pulled up on my second screen here while I got you hanging out here. See Square, I'm just going to Google it. We'll do Square Node SDK. Okay, so let's bring this guy over here. And this is what I recall seeing. Yeah, I've done a little bit of work on this before. So this is what we're going to use. First thing we're going to do is we're going to install Square. So I've got the reference over here. I'm going to drop a link to this in the chat if anyone wants to read along and kind of follow along and see what we're doing. So I'm going to open up a terminal here. I'm going to make sure I get into my right project because we need to hook up the backend first. So let's see, npm cd. What do I got? API. All right, so we're going to cd to API, and we're going to do an npm install Square Connect save. So this is going to download the library that I need in order to connect up to Square. Some of the work that I've done on this is interacting with the API directly and not using their SDK, but their SDK does make it much easier to do this. So that is what we're going to run with now. I might end up redoing this at some point to eliminate some of the overhead of the SDK, but to start off with, this is where we're at. So actually, another thing I'm going to do for all of you people watching me out there is I'm going to zoom in here. Make the text here a little bit bigger so this way it's a little easier to see things. So we've got it installed, and I'm going to go into the source for the API, and I'm actually going to create a new service. So we're going to create a new file here. I'm going to call it Square Service. Everything that I use to try and connect to some kind of third-party API I keep inside of the services folder, and I name it X service, you know, whatever you want it to be. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy over this, which is their kind of boilerplate code that's going to get us started. I probably should launch a mini Scratch project to work on this initially, but that's okay. Developer. So, and as you can see in here, one of the things that we're going to need here is the access token, and I haven't generated that. I was trying to do that before we got started here, but I didn't get the chance to. I've had some other things that I was working on as well. So, you know, so it goes. Get rid of my semicolons because I don't believe in semicolons in JavaScript. I do C# during the day for my day job for an API that I manage for my company. And after working in JavaScript for so long, I hate semicolons, and Visual Studio always complains to me when I'm missing semicolons. Okay, so I'm not showing this on screen, but what I'm doing is I have a Square account, and I'm signing up for their developer. I'm not signing up for. I'm navigating to their developer dashboard. So same thing. If anyone is interested, I'm going to go ahead and drop a link into the chat as well, so you can kind of follow along there. Alrighty. So let's go. I'm going to create a new application. You know what? Since this is all test data, I really don't care. Well, I don't know what the test would if it's going to get into some production data. I don't. It's a test account, and I have fake information in there. It's real addresses, but it's fake names. But I don't know if it's hooked up to my credit card, so I'm not gonna. Yeah, I'm not gonna go ahead and show that on the screen. So I'm going to create an application called Enviari tests. Create the application. Okay, and it does. It gives me. I'm glad I did this. I got an application ID and I have a personal access token, which looks like it's going to be used in that area. Now I also have a sandbox access token because that works out great. What I want is a sandbox. So let's go in here, and I'm going to replace that. Once I test this and make sure that everything does work, I'm going to basically try and create a unit test around here to make sure I pull some data back. I'm going to move this into an environment variable. So bear with me for a moment. I need to pull some other things up. And actually, I'm going to... Let's see here. We're handling some secrets right now. Gotta like my new scenes that I threw together in OBS. I'm gonna recycle those API keys because I don't like the fact that those are on screen. I don't think anyone can do anything with them because it's all test. I don't have any of the stuff in production at all, or even hosted anywhere. So, but being that they are supposed to be treated like passwords, and I am paranoid and super big into security, I don't like it one bit. So y'all can wait here just a minute for me to recycle these keys. Do. What did I have here? See, I had Stripe and Easy Post. Keys. Terrible at singing, but I like to sing. Singing's good. Create an extra key. All right. Disable the key. All right, Easy Post is fixed. Developers. How do I roll key? Expire the old key immediately. Got the information in there. Roll the key. And it is different, so we're in good shape. I'm not going to replace that right now because of the wonderful things he does. Just making sure I didn't do anything else stupid here that I need to recycle. Okay, I think we're good to go. I think we are good. You know what? There is one more I want to do. Sorry, this is not exactly how I expected the stream to go ahead and kick off, but, you know, this is just kind of the way it's got to go. Normally I go through these things a little bit quicker, this is a... Oh, cool. Delete the API key. Okay, I'll set that up later. I hope. I might have to do this again if we're doing some more testing. I don't think we will today. I don't think I'm going to need this. So, all right, all of my keys have been recycled. So, I'm just going to put some dummy data in here. Localhost. Just for the sake of argument. What is this guy? Test token. Oh, that's, okay, I know what that is. Test. Alrighty. And for extra layer of security, let's close out all of these things to make sure that we're not doing anything stupid. All right, back to the task at hand. Apologize for that, but we're back. So the only other thing I really did after just kind of wiping away the dumbness that I just did is I've added in this line here, the app ID. I have a feeling this might come into play, so I wanted to go ahead and copy that now and just, you know, just make sure it's there. So going back into the Square service, let's go into our unit tests. Do I have any unit tests here? I don't think so. So we're going to do new folder, tests. I name it test or test. I got to check my other ones that I got here. So I name it tests, plural. So let's rename it tests. Let's go ahead and create a new file in here. We'll do square service.spec.js because that's what I named all my other ones. And I'm going to use a reference here. Just copy this guy. This should be fine. It's sufficient enough. All right, so back into our tests here. Assert, I don't need any of this stuff. We're going to describe the test as services Square service tests so I can quickly see what it's doing. I don't need anything to happen beforehand. I don't need any of this stuff to happen. And we're going to name this test should return a list of customers, because that's ultimately what we want to do, although I don't think it's going to do that up front. Okay, so what does this do? This just does a console.log. So API list locations and function data. Why doesn't it like that? Missing space. Oh, it's formatting. Why doesn't this one like it? Probably because I don't have space afterwards, like that. There we go. And extra space here. I like to satisfy ESLint. I don't know if I'm OCD or whatever, but it bugs me when I see all the red squigglies. All right, so this should do something. Something is good. This is what we want to do. I remember when I wrote something like this before, I'd actually create the whole OAuth 2 flow using the GUI and everything like that. So I'm excited to get into doing that. But for now, this will be sufficient for us testing things. It looks like actually, if I'm seeing here var API square connect.locations API, it looks like it's going to pull a list of locations from my sandbox data. So coffee, and then we're going to get started. Let's open up a terminal. I want to see on the screen how that terminal looks. Yeah, it looks okay. So we will go ahead and cd to src services tests, and I'm gonna run Mocha right on this thing. I think if I remember how to do this right, this is how you do it. Mocha's not recognized. Oh, npm install g mocha. I wrote all these tests on a different computer. I was using a laptop before I kind of invested in a little bit of better equipment for the stream. So now I'm on my desktop, and I never installed Mocha. Apparently I don't run tests because I'm a terrible person. You know what's interesting? While we're waiting for this to load, my laptop that I was using was a modern i7 with 16 gigs of RAM and a solid state drive, 500 gigs. It was like a $1,500 laptop. and it was like top of the line when I bought it like 2 years ago. The computer that I'm using now it's a first generation i7 with, granted, 24 gigs of memory, but the thing is 10 years old and it smokes my laptop, and I have no idea why. Like, logic would tell me that if the laptop is newer, 10 years newer. I mean, I get if it's like a year or two, but 10 years newer, it should be faster and better, and it isn't. And that, anyway, I digress. So let's go ahead and try and run this again. So we're going to do Mocha again. Going to let it run on the test. 0 passing because it doesn't do anything. So let's go ahead and import, I'm sorry, const. So we're importing in the service that we just created. All right. And did I create an exports here? No, I got no exports. So let's export out a function here. Exports test locations API equals function. You don't need to pass anything in. So, and we can pretty much just copy all this stuff in here. So this is going to allow us to be able to hit that from this outside, from outside of the file itself. Can clear out all that stuff. To a default client. Actually, I'm going to bring this into that function as well, so it's all nice and tightly compacted together. All right. So now that we have our test locations API, we're going to try and call this from within our test and see how it goes. So square service dot test locations API, we're not going to do anything, and I'm going to do assert false is true because I don't want this test to pass. Let's go ahead and run this guy again and see what happens. It's going to fail. API called successfully, return data object. Okay, so we got something back. Let's go JSON data equals JSON.stringify, pass in the data, and let's go ahead and see what that calls back. So we'll call that again. I get stuff. I get lots of stuff. Okay, so return locations, and looks like an array of locations. Okay, so that's cool. Let's find out our customers one, because that's ultimately what I'm interested in. I'm going to look at the documentation for pulling in customers. So pulling in here, I'm going to go ahead and increase this. So if anyone does want to read along, they can't. Whoop, too big. So if anyone does want to read along, they can. Okay, so let's see what we got here. Square Connect Catalog API, create customer card. I want to retrieve customers. No, not retrieve is not the keyword. Let's see. I got an idea. Customer request Square Connect.customer. That looks like it's a good one. Let's go ahead and click on that and see what we got here. Square Connect.customer. That's a model. That doesn't help me. I want to actually see how to pull the customer. Create customer, delete customer, list customers. Here we go. Example. I do remember this. The cursor. The cursor is like the what signifies if there is a second page, and you'd pass in the cursor into every subsequent call, and it paginates the data. So once there's no cursors returned, that's when your client kind of knows, hey, there's nothing else to pull. So customers API, that looks simple enough. So customers API, list customers, and looks like there's a set of options here. I don't know if these are optional or not. And it looks like this does support promises, which is cool. Although I would hope every modern library kind of would. So let's go with customers API. And let's go to API.list customers. I'm going to try and go with no options just to see if it pulls something back. And we'll do, I don't want to add JSON data. Actually, we're going to scrap this guy and I don't even care to see API called successfully. That's probably why it said object object, because it tried to coerce the object, the JSON data object, well, it was data object before, into a string itself. So we'll just pass in data. Oh, I see. Oh, that's weird. It's weird it's called like that. It's not a lambda function or an arrow function. Fat arrow function, as they call them. All right, so that's done. Let's go ahead and run our test again and see what we pull back. We pulled back nothing. Maybe we do need some options. API called successfully. Customers API. I did spell that right? Customers API. List customers. List customers. Bounce back and forth to try and figure out what I did wrong. Unless there is no customers in this test location. That would be kind of strange. All right, so let's do sort field example. Indicates how customers should be sorted. Default is default. Default is ascending. If these are defaults, then there shouldn't be I would not think there'd be a need for us to actually pull that in. I'm going to see if I can log into my sandbox over here and see what the data looks like, because I think they do give you a way of logging into it. So this is a coffee and toffee. Looks like that is one of the locations for this particular Square instance. All right, sandbox. Pull this over. So there's some limitations. There's ways to use the sandbox. But I don't see, try it out. I wish there was a way to log into the actual sandbox. Let's do Square developer log into sandbox. Because really I just want to see the data. And nothing here really sticks out to me. Okay, maybe that's not going to be a good route for us to go. So, console log data. It pulled something back. Let's do, let's go back to CR.json, see what that does. So let JSON data equals JSON.stringify data. Because why not? Let's see what this looks like. Let's let that run. Yeah, it still returns nothing. I am not sure what I'm missing. Let's take a look at the documentation again and see if we're not missing something. All right, so API client .instance, API client instance. Default client OAuth 2. With our access token, we know that goes to our sandbox. We don't have any options that we want to pass in. Var API equals Square. New Square Connect.customers API. For the sake of argument, let's go ahead and just copy all of this and put this in here. We'll comment out what we have here. So we're going to minimize this. Bring that down a little bit. We're going to comment out everything we have here. And we're going to go ahead and see what this does. Now, I don't think this is going to help us out, but yeah, why not? Why not? Why not? Why not? Why are you complaining? Indent 4 found. Oh, move that guy over. Like so. And why are you complaining? Oh, you should be increased more, and you should be increased more, and you should be increased more. Let's go ahead and save that. And we're going to see how this goes. Let's bring this guy back up here. All right, so a complaint about something. I got a complaint. Invalid request error. Details. Sort field example is not a valid field. Okay, so that option is not going to work for us. Which really is fine. Unless it is needed, then it's not. I'm not trying to sort now. I'm just trying to pull the data back. It should be a fairly simple request, but I've been banging away at this for a half hour already. It's hard to believe. API called successfully, returned object. So it returned something, but I have a feeling it's going to return nothing really. So let's do JSON data equals JSON to stringify data. And let's see what this gives us. That's done, and now it's loading. Yeah, it's an empty object. So maybe there are no customers in this particular sandbox, which would be kind of interesting. Kind of seems like a poor sandbox. Okay. On my other screen, I'm going to go back in and log into my Square developer section because I want to see if there's any information on whether or not there are actually what data is inside of these sandboxes. Okay, so I see all the stuff. No, I don't want a sample app. Few details. It doesn't really say anything. It just literally says you use the sandbox to test the Connect v2 API in non-production environment, test API endpoints and common failures, retrieve data, sample data. Transactions are not sent to card networks. Credit cards are never charged. But it doesn't actually say what's inside that. And I would expect if I'm listing customers, it should be there. But it isn't. Yeah, verify my access token. That's correct. Unless someone went in there and just deleted all my customers on my sandbox, that would kind of suck and be evil. All right. I wasn't planning on doing this, but maybe we can just write this directly and bypass the Square SDKs altogether and see what's inside there. In fact, you know what? Hold on a second here. Hold on a second. All right, we're going back to handling some secrets because I don't know what I have pulled up in Postman at the moment. But I'm going to go ahead and create a new request. Square. Yeah, those are web tokens. That's fine. Okay. All right, we're back. So we're inside Postman. I'm going to try and make a call to the Square API using Postman and see what it pulls back, bypassing Node altogether. So let's do Square token, and we're going to set our initial value to what we pulled in from the Square sandbox. Go ahead and pull that guy in. Update it. So Square token should be that saved in my local environment here. Now let's see. I'm going to pull up Square documentation. Pull this guy over here now. And let's go to I just realized I introduced my video as being Wednesday nights and it's Monday. So although I've been streaming every Wednesday for the past 2 months, I kind of hop on random times throughout the week when I have time as well. It's not all the time, but if I get time, I'll hop on. Okay. So let's go into customers. Here's our list customers. get v2-customers. So what is the base API? I think it's dev.squareup.com, if I remember right. Connect.squareup.com. All right, v2 customers. All right, get request to that /v2/customers. We doing a bearer token? Yeah, bearer token and JSON. So under authentication, we're going to change this to bearer token, and we're going to name this not token. We're going to do square token. Put square token in there. In headers, we're also going to put is it accepts content? Hold on. Post input must put content type. Okay, we'll do accept. And we'll do application. Whoa, hold on. Oh, I don't like this. How do I change this? Yeah, there we go. Application JSON. All right, let's send that. Yeah, I still get nothing back. Okay, so I'm not crazy. It's definitely not pulling any customers back, which makes no sense. If you're giving somebody a sandbox, there should be data in there. Let's do locations. It pulls locations back. It just don't pull customers back. I almost want to think that this is just an issue with their service right now for whatever reason. Because this would be silly to have a sandbox with no data in it. Or somebody's pulling some creepy stuff on me and went in there and deleted all my data, which would be terrible. So I'm going to see, can I refresh the sandbox? Oh, no, that's Salesforce. Hold on. No, I don't need Salesforce help. Thank you. Square refresh sandbox. Yeah, it looks like these results are for Salesforce. All right. I'm going to do something that I really wasn't planning on doing. That seems to be the common trend for my video stream, is I always have a plan, and the plan never works out. We going back to handling secrets mode, and I am going to just load in my temporary Square ID we're going to use for now. My token that I actually use for my environment. Again, there is nothing really there, but you know, I don't know. Security conscious person, sometimes I don't like to just kind of throw things out there. So Square test token. Actually, I think I'm going to put this under test. Square test token. If you're joining the stream now, we're grabbing some we are grabbing a token, and I'm not showing that to the world like I did earlier. So I'm hiding my screen while I'm doing that. Okay, so that's saved. .env.test. I'm going to, before I do anything else, I want to make sure that this actually gets pulled properly. We'll do test. And I'm going to actually do console.log. Process.env.square token. Square test token or square token? I don't know. Square token. Doodly-doo. Doodly-doo. Square token. Okay, that's good. That's good. So let me run this real quick and make sure it pulls back what I expect it to pull back. And it doesn't, which is nice. Grr. Grr. Okay, so I'm going to test this real quick. I'm going to leave my secret scene on because I'd like to test this with Postman here real quick. So I will be back in a moment. I promise you. I promise. I promise. I promise. I would really, really, really like to be able to work on something tonight. Okay, so my token does actually pull back data. How can I do this? I have an idea. No, I don't need that. I need... So if that's the case, if it's pulling the data back, I'm going to continue using the library. Because reasons. Because again, I wasn't planning on writing all of this logic up front. So I think what I'm going to have to do is create a new file, call it secret.json, and we'll do square token. And save it like so. And access token, we're going to require var secrets equals require I'm going to test this and make sure it works first before I come and hop back on this thing. Test. That's not going to do us no good now, so I'm going to undo that change that I just did. Save that guy. Staging. I don't have anything there. That's not there. We're going to close that file out so I'm not dumb and show it. Probably should move it to outside of the actual project itself so I don't open it up by mistake. In fact, I am going to do that. Let's see. This has got to hands down be one of my worst or least productive streams that I have done because I hit a wall right out the gate and it has not served me well. All right, so should be in here, right? It's under repos. I think it's there. Okay, let me make sure this works first, and then if this does, I'm going to turn the stream back on. Okay, so that worked. Great. Great, great, great. Okay, so I think we're back in action. Okie dokie, we are back. So my goal is, I don't know what my goal is anymore, to be entirely honest. This really threw me for a loop tonight. So I got my Square service. I'm gonna change this so this way it actually returns a list of customers instead of just as a console.log. I guess that's probably where we're gonna have to leave it tonight, because I hit some walls and I need to rethink how I'm going to approach this, to be entirely honest. But I want to do something and at least get some kind of work done tonight. So instead of exports, I'm gonna make this async, and I'm gonna do get customers, okay, and we're gonna pass in token like that. So we want to get all the customers. So what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to move let's see, that can probably stay the same. A lot of this can come back outside of this function. So we're going to move this up here. And whoa, what did I do? We're going to move that up there. I'm going to get rid of some of these comments here. So we're going to get rid of this. We're going to get rid of this because I don't need it. If I want to use that again, I'm going to go ahead and put that into an environment variable. So equals async function. Why are you complaining? Padded by blank lines. Okay. This can honestly be moved outside here as well. No, it can't. This needs to be moved inside here. So before we do anything, we're going to do auth2.accessToken equals token. I'm going to comment that out because I am going to use that later. Var API, we're not going to use this here. Actually, we're going to do async function get square customers, and that's also going to take in token. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put, if there is a cursor, if it does return a cursor, I want to iterate over that. So we can also do cursor, I guess. I don't know. Let's figure this out as we go, because it only pulls, I think, the first X number of fields. So yeah, you see how there's the cursor right here. There, I think if I remember right, and I haven't done this work in a while, I have 500 customers in my Square instance. It only returns the first 100, and after the 100, you have to paginate it basically. So we're going to use those options, and then we're actually going to, if there is a cursor that's passed in, we're going to iterate over it. So I'm going to take this stuff and move it down here. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to actually return a new promise here, so this way I can make it asynchronous. So return new promise, resolve reject. And we're going to move this stuff inside of the promise. And I'm going to clean up some of this stuff because I don't like the way they have the functions laid out in here. Might just be personal preference, but I'm really not a fan of the way that this looks here. So we're going to get rid of this, and we're going to make some arrow functions, and we're going to delete this because I hear that's best practice. And let's see, I don't need this, but I do need to return the data. So just, I mean, honestly, resolve data. So if I get something, it's going to push it back. But I see, then I got then is passing in two functions. I don't like this at all. So we're going to convert this like this and hope it still works. There's our error. I got to remove this extra parens we got there. And we're going to do reject error. So if there is an error, it's going to reject it. This stuff can come inside the promise. I just think it looks nicer here. Okay, so that's all there. So get customers. What we want to do is we want to let customers equals, I'm going to do an empty array. Okay, let return customers equals await get square customers for the token. Actually, we are going to have to pass a cursor in here, and I'll explain to you why that is. If we want to set up our options below, we want to go ahead and basically create them if they exist. So we're going to do let's see, options. We're going to make this so it is a blank. It's an empty object like so. I'm going to change this to let as well. And the reason why we're doing that is because we're going to pass options in here no matter what. But if there is a cursor, which we want to rename this up here to cursor, then we want options to be equal to, I think cursor was our example, cursor, like so. So let's rename options properly. So let's think about this through. We always need a token. We know we always need a token, and it's going to set that. Actually, you know what? I can move this up here. so it only sets it once, and then actually get rid of the token. Oh, cool. Moving things around and thinking it through. So the first thing that my function is going to do, my get customers is going to do, is it's going to get a token. It's going to assign the token to the OAuth2 variable up here. Then it's going to create an empty array of customers, and then we're going to get returned customers. Okay, actually, I'm not even sure that I like this, but we're going to roll with this for now. So we're going to get returned customers. We're going to pass in the cursor if one exists, which we don't need one. Yeah, we need one like that. So the cursor is going to be blank initially. So we're going to get square customers. We're going to wait for that return. Now, actually, you know what? I like this response better because it's the response from the API. And you'll see the response actually has a couple of attributes here. So it has customers. Looks like that is the top level, one of the top level, blah, blah, blah. One of the top level properties that returns here. And the other one that I'm interested in is, as I said earlier, is down here is this cursor here. Now, what we're going to do is if while response.cursor, let me think about this. So response equals await customers. We want to say customers.push response.customer. So we're going to grab the first 100 from here. So we're going to say while response.cursor response equals await get square customers customers.push response.customers. I think this should work without testing it. So initially we're going to set the token. We're going to create an empty array of customers. It's going to hold what we're going to return, and we're going to create a single response. We're going to create a single request. So the initial response is get square customers. When it gets that, it's going to push those customers, the list of the first 100 into customers. Then, while it actually has a cursor, so we'll check if it has a cursor initially, it is going to, if it does, it's going to do it again. Basically repeat exactly this code. I might want to clean this up a little bit later to get rid of some of this duplication, but I think for now this will work. I don't know how much I can clean that code up. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to return my customers. Like so. Oh, and actually last thing I need to do, response.cursor. CURSOR. So, and by passing the cursor in here, it's going to pass it down here, which is going to iterate over that, all that stuff. All that stuff, technical term. What did I do here? I got something messed up and out of line. Let's see, expected that. Why do you expect that? What did I do? I did something wrong here. Unless I didn't. What is this? That goes to that. That goes to that. That goes to that. Okay. I don't see anything there, so we're just gonna kind of go with it. Async function gets square customers. Yeah, I don't know. It looks fine. So let's test this now. We'll save it. It's probably going to complain. Every time I look at something, I'll be like, oh yeah, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Usually is like, no, there's something wrong with it. It's definitely not right. So, okay, what we have is let customers, and we have this as already async. It was await square service dot get customers with nothing passed in. It's pulling the token from, it's not pulling the token from anything. Oops. Okay, we're going to have to fix that. So I want to pass the token in. So we're actually going to move this over here. And I think I need to go up one more level. So let's go up one more level into my file. And we will do secret.square token like so. So this should pass my token in properly, and the initially pass the token in, which is what we want. So this should return a list of customers. I expect 500 customers back. However, what I'm going to do is assert dot is, let's see, strict equal. We want to do customers dot length, and I'm going to just throw an arbitrary number. Actually, wait, what do we do? Actual expected length. I'm gonna throw an arbitrary number out here like 99, which I don't expect. I do not expect this to pass because we want the test to fail initially and not pass. So what I'm saying here is I want, once everything is said and done, it's queried all my customers, I expect the total number of customers in the array, customers.length, to be 99. If this passes, I have something seriously wrong. So let's go ahead and run our test and see what happens. It broke. It broke. Missing after argument list. See, I told you. I always think I do everything right, and then I don't. What am I missing, though? What's missing after an argument list? I didn't close off this guy here. That's why. Why are you complaining now? Indentation. Oh, that's ESLint. That's for indentation. I really hope I didn't break that one. That would be stupid. So, okay. So we fixed our little mishap there. Let's try and run our test again. Service test. It's thinking. Exceeded. Okay, so it took longer than 2 seconds to run. Normally in unit tests, you don't want them to take forever. In our case, I kind of don't care because I'm really just testing to make sure that, you know, it's working. This is kind of more integration testing, not unit testing, but you know, it kind of serves the purpose here. So if I did this correct, actually, I think it's timeout. So what I'm doing here is I'm gonna set this so this way it gives it 10 seconds in order to wait for respond. I think it's dot timeout. Either that or comma timeout, like set timeout like I had it before. It's not complaining initially, so it's fine. Strictly equal 6. Okay, now I'm confused. Now we're going to console log this and see what I did. Console.log customers. Return 6, so it's doing something. It's actually pulling some data back. I wonder if I didn't go deep enough on what I want to actually push into the array itself. So exports. Well, that is interesting. It's definitely returning more than 6. Well, it looks like it is putting them into, it's not putting them in properly. So we're returning data. Let's console log data here. So we're returning data. We're pushing response.customers. I'm going to actually console log this one right here. And we're going to not console log here. All right, so let's try and run this again and see what we get back. Yeah, it's doing something weird with my data. I'm gonna have to dig into this a little bit later because it's 9:30 and I got a couple things I got to take care of before it's time to call it a night. So I will work on this probably over the next day or so, and I'll be back on Wednesday. I'll see if I can get you guys an answer by then to find out what's going on here. It kind of looks like it's doing what I expect it to, which is awesome. It's got to be something to do with just the way that I'm organizing the data. So when I figure that out, I will go ahead and let everybody know. But with that, thank you for joining me tonight. I really do appreciate it. If you are interested in more content like this, reach out to me and let me know if there's something more specifically you're interested in that I can work on for you. You can contact me on my website, brianmorrison.me, or email me, brian@brianmorrison.me. You could also contact me on Twitter, Facebook, whatever. I'm an open book. But with that, everybody have a good night. Bye-bye.